Hotep, Senu, Hena, Senut, Iti, Ren-I, Shakandugu Kemet. I hope you're doing well, brothers and sisters. I want to check that the sound quality is okay. You're doing well, brothers and sisters. So far, so good. The main topic, even though we can talk about anything, the main topic is the language of ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt being Kemet. And that language, of course, being the Medu Necher, that most call Medu Neter. Have you ever tried to learn it? Are you learning it? Are you planning on learning it? Would you like to learn it? Feel free. That's one proposition in terms of topic. But of course, if there's anything at all you want to address, then by all means, feel free. I have shared the calling link. It is on the chat. And as a matter of fact, I will share it again. Now, while I wait for people to join us, in France, I've been telling you for a very long time. I've been telling you about those Pan-African scammers, thieves. Well, now some people just woke up, mainly because they were the victim of the scamming. Money was stolen from them. What's interesting is that just yesterday, there was a live stream. And someone said that 20 years ago, he started hearing the rumors about this so-called professor. Because just like in America, in France, we have some people who claim to be professors, who claim that they presented their thesis, basically that they are PhDs. That's what they are claiming. And that's what they want people to believe. So one of them that is presented as the next best thing after Cheikh Anta Diop and Theophile Obenga. 20 years ago, he started hearing the rumors. So this guy has been scamming people for 20 years. And we have some people, that same guy who said that he heard the rumors 20 years ago, said that some people say, well, even if he's scamming, that's all right because he has knowledge, because he's sharing knowledge. Do you realize this, how sad it is that we have people who say it's okay if he's scamming the people, if he is stealing money from the people because he is sharing information. Now, mind you, the so called information that this guy has been teaching is for the most part BS, foolishness. But when you address people who don't know any better, they will be impressed. As long as you throw out a few long words, that's it. People feel like there is some conscious community or comedic community and so on. Well, at least in France, but I've witnessed the same thing in America because there has been several cases of scamming, people stealing money, people raping women, raping children. Have we heard the elders speak? We're in a community where not only people are attracting good spirited young brothers and sisters, but we have a whole ecosystem of people that are directing the young people towards those scammers, thieves, rapists, and pedophiles. You see, that's what they are doing. And when those people have been scammed, when those people have been raped, there's no elders they can go to because the elders are silent, very silent. You see? Now, oh, Matron has joined us. Thank you. I will put you on in about 3 seconds. Before that, we have Weef Ra who wrote, "You are my friend, bro. Welcome." Greetings, sister. How are you?
Greetings, brother. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I am so excited to start my MetaNetter classes. I wanted to share that with everyone when you said that. I have so many comments and thoughts about people that abuse their power when they get into these positions, but I wanted to share with everyone. I'm excited. I start today with you. And I think that everyone should at least begin to try to learn and break down the Metunetter because there are so many symbols and images that have been entrenched and ingrained in our everyday life that we don't really understand because we don't know the Metunetter, and that I think it would help give all of us a better, more holistic understanding of the world that we see and that we look at each and every day.
Indeed, yes. And thank you for sharing that because I don't require people to say if they take the classes. So it's up to them if they want to let the people know. And we do actually have a few of the regular listeners and callers have taken classes. Some are still taking the classes. And I agree definitely. I think people should give it a try, particularly when they claim to be Kemetic, because we have so many people who claim to be Kemetic, but they really know about three, four Kemetic words. They could not read a sentence, and I think that it's a shame because, for example, when Muslims, or let's say someone who's not from a Muslim background, when they convert to Islam, even if they don't learn the Arabic, just by being a Muslim and practicing the religion, they have a fair bit of Arabic vocabulary. But
Hmm.
when we look at Kemetic people, um, we are far from it, you see. And I understand, and maybe Sister Matron, you've heard that. Have you heard people claim? Have you heard people claiming that the Medunetta has not been deciphered?
I have heard that. I also heard people saying that there was no way to know what the Metunetter sounds like and what it means. And there are just a lot of people that actually have encountered, especially here in America, some of our great thought leaders, but because one person usually can't write down everything that's in their mind, they are able to lead the people astray in mass. Going back into your secondary topic, they play on people's hope because as an individual, they're looking for power, I think, and money. And they abuse the people. And the people are willing to take this abuse because they've been so beat down by whatever system they're in, that they accept that pain and abuse, and they're willing to sacrifice so many things for a little bit of knowledge, that it's really sad. It hurts my heart to see that happening over and over and over again, because every 5 to 7 years in the conscious community, which is why I was afraid of it, these people pop up and they're abusing children and stealing money and lying about their credentials, and trying to pervert some master teacher's knowledge base in order to get their own wealth and power.
It is sad indeed. Like, that professor in France, or sorry, that so-called professor in France, um, the rapists, the people who defend the rapists and the people who defend the pedophiles, which are mainly French-speaking Pan-Africans, they have been pushing that guy in the forefront as the main guy to follow. And recently, there's some live stream of the people who are scammed by him, and he's known for promising things like, my book's going to be released. If you want, you can give me the money and you will have a copy as soon as it's out. That was 10 years ago. He was supposed to release his book. He's talking about, my such and such family members of mine is sick. You know, can you help me? Or, I'm in the hospital. Can you help me? And one funny story is that recently, when he claimed, what he was said recently anyway, he called to ask for help. He said he was in at the hospital. Okay. So the guy's wife cooked for him, and they went to the person, a friend, a mutual friend, to give him money, because he's very slick. He never gives any bank account. He wants like money transferred where you go to those places and you collect the cash, or he wants you to give the money to a third party, or to do the bank transfer or wire transfer to a third party so he can collect the cash, you see.
Hmm.
So they went to the third party, and the wife said, okay, since you're going to give him the money, I'd like to go with you, because she wanted to visit him at the hospital, and she cooked for him. And the third party, all of a sudden, he can't remember at which hospital he's staying, which shows
What?
that he is an accomplice. And we're
Yeah.
talking about elders. We're talking about dudes who are like in their 50s and above, you see. So some young people who appreciated the information that this so-called Pan-African scholar was teaching, they got together, they got him a place to stay. And they said during the live stream that, and he was staying there free of charge, and he was fully furnished. And later on, when he had to leave the place, he damaged the place. And the young lady who took the responsibility of the place, she had to pay the landlord, the house owner. And luckily, he did not take the matter to court because the house was really damaged. Not only that, but they got together to make sure that these so-called Pan-African professor would get money every month. So every month he was getting a couple of $1,000s, up to $6,000. And recently he was given $12,000. And because he was supposed to do a TV online, and it's not done like so many, sometimes he goes to young people and say, hey, you want to be part of my association? Give me €100. You receive the card. You receive the code, the password, so you can see the videos online. And they never receive anything. You see, that's what he's been doing for all these years. So now that there's been this money collected by the people thinking that they will have a TV, €8,000 were collected. Now, mind you, the euros is slightly stronger than the dollars, so it's a bit more than
Hmm.
$8,000. But anyway, 8,000 for the online TV. And the guy who testified, well, testified, the guy who talked about his experience during a live stream, that's public, he said that he added 4,000 euros out of his own pocket. So the guy received 12,000 euros and he blew it up. And he keeps on asking people for money. So what did this guy do? He acted like he'd never received the money. He told people that he never received the money. So people were angry at the guy who made the fund, who raised the funds, and who added 4,000 out of his money. And he also accommodated that so-called Pan-African scholar. So because that fake scholar told the people he never had anything, everybody turned on his benefactor to the point where he was physically assaulted. After he was physically assaulted in the presence of his daughter, who is a young adult, but still,
Mhm.
he begged the so-called fake scholar, tell the people I did not run away with the money. I'm asking you, I'm ready to work with you. He made several videos. I said, I'm ready to forgive you, but just tell the people. People call me every day. People insult me in the street. I helped you. He wouldn't do that. And that's the reason why he's coming out and speaking out. You see? I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. 12,000 euros, and you're going to act like you never received anything. And the funny thing is that when people are calling him so many times a day, asking him, why did you run with the professor's money? Why did you run with the money? He's like, I never run with the money. Where does that come from? Who told you that? Well, he told us that. So he ended up filming himself using a StreamYard, and he called that fake professor. And he's like, how come you tell people I ran with the money? And the professor says, the so-called professor says, I never said that. They're lying. So the guy tells that fake scholar, are they all lying? And you telling the truth? And the fake professor says, we're going to have a meeting and we're all going to talk, call all those people who said that I lied on you, and I will confront them. They set a date for the meeting. He never came for the meeting. And during the call, it was, once again, it's a call. He put the speakerphone, but he used StreamYard, and it was not a public live stream. It was a private live stream. So, but just in case, because he was being careful at this point. He kept telling him, how much did I give you? How much? And the fake scholar would not respond. And he would say, I gave you $12,000. Euros, 12,000 euros, 8,000 for the fund, people raising funds for the online TV, and 4,000 out of my pocket. And he kept repeating that and kept asking him, how much did I give you? How much? And he kept saying, I told the people you gave me that amount, but just saying that amount, like such and such amount, but he would not actually give an actual figure. So everybody can see that the guy is just a habitual liar. But I'm sorry, I was a bit long-winded, but that guy was physically assaulted because of the lie of that fake scholar. And all the Pan-African community, the French-speaking Pan-African community, knows about this. And I will end with this for now. This guy, and I was told like 10 years ago, someone died, people collected money to give it to the family. He took the money, claiming that he will give it to the family. He never gave it to the family. So that's how low that guy goes. And the people are still defending him. But I would leave it there.
I I am blown away that unfortunately, as people, we are so starved for a little bit of information, that we're willing to take these horrible abuses, because that is an abuse. That's a disrespect to our ancestral history. That's a disrespect to our life, and that's a disrespect to our future, all in that one person. And I can't condone that type of behavior, and we should not condone that type of behavior. And I'll share something. People hear you talk about the fact that this guy goes off with the money, he runs away with the money and things like that, and they'll accuse you of doing something called pocket watching. And it's like, in America, that's what they call it, pocket watch. You're watching how my money goes and all these other
Yeah.
things. And I want to say, it's not about how much money they do or don't make, because money flows through us at the point that we have need. Okay, I've never been in a place of abject need or poverty because of how strong my understanding of just certain principles are without even having all of the information that I needed. However, money is the easiest way to abuse the most people the fastest. And so we talk about, from what I've always understood, we talk about the money portion of it and appear to be doing that because that is the quickest way to abuse the most people in the quickest way, you know, because you don't know what those people had to give up or stop doing for their children or for themselves or their own care that they did not do when they made the sacrifice of giving money to a liar. And when they made the sacrifice of putting money into basically an empty, vacuous hole in a place of no return, and they're hurting the people when they do these types of things and when they promise them things that really don't manifest. And when you step forward with authentic knowledge and real opportunity and real strategies to empower people, you are then also damaged because they've been so accustomed to getting nothing from this charlatan.
And it's so appalling. I mean, if people want to make a donation to someone, hey, to themselves, if they got it like that, they can give whatever they want. But I want the people to understand that they are raising funds for online TV, or the guy, the fake scholar, is asking people to give them money for the book, and he's calling them saying, my mother is sick, my brother is passed away. I need money. I'm at a hospital. I need money. There was even one time he said he was at a hospital abroad, you see, but he wasn't actually abroad because, people know each other. I mean, he's been doing that for 20 years. And there's one thing, like in English, people will say, like, whatever happens in his house stays in his house. So they have a saying like that in French as well. And those Pan-Africans, those French Pan-Africans, they love to say that, oh, we need to keep it between us, you see. And what about my app? So basically, someone is stealing money from people for 2 decades, but we need to keep it between us. Some of them say, oh, we're going to look bad in front of the enemy. We're going to look bad in front of white people. That's just ridiculous. If the dude is scamming, and I said he should not be supported. And he has been doing it for so long. And in France as well, the elders are not speaking out. But everybody is aware of that. It's just crazy. And there's also some cases of rape as well, when rapists have been defended. Actually, one rapist was and is still the head of a black organization in France. And first, not many people knew, but then some people put out his criminal record, and there's more than one case of rape. So at that point, some people distance themselves, but many people are still defending him, talking about, oh, but he changed. He's not the same anymore. Malcolm X also did some bad stuff and so on. But my point is very clear. If someone raped several times, he cannot be the head of a black organization. He cannot.
I agree. I absolutely agree. The other part of that is that when you have and you hide the sickness inside of you, it's going to fester and multiply and eventually take you over and kill you, unfortunately, because that's the nature of a disease. You cover it up. This is not a healed wound that you are covering up in order to allow the cells that are healthy to rest and regenerate. You are covering up the illness on the inside of you. It's just going to go deeper in the bone, like our medical science shows us this every single day. If you have gangrene, you don't just say, oh, cover it up. If you get an infection, you don't just say, oh, cover it up. You uncover it. You treat the infection. You cut out the thing that is making you sick. And and then you go about healing because it makes us look weaker, okay? Because if we're looking at the white people or the Eurasian way of doing things, look at them holistically. They are sick from the inside out. They have like I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but they have an entirely different way of being than the way of being that we say we want to have. And so, are we deciding that we want to be like them but melanated, or are we saying we want to be ourselves? Because we are a well people, you know? I do not understand this.
It's weird. You know, ever since the accusation came out against Brother Polite, many people are distancing themselves from him. And there is a guy called Enki. He was known as Minister Enki. Now apparently he goes by Dr. Enki, and he was one of the closest dude to associated with Polite. At one point they parted ways. He was accused of having stealing a computer or something like that. Apparently he really took the computer, but he said that's because he was not paid for, he was owed money. But anyway, after that they made up. They were cool. And he claimed publicly that Polite brought him a house. Now this guy, ever since Polite has been charged, he's making videos on a regular basis going at Polite. And I'm like, you were with him all this time. For example, one of his latest video, he asked a question. His video is entitled, Did Brother Polite really write 90 plus books? Because this is a claim that Polite made years ago, just like the claim that he speaks seven languages. I never heard him speak any foreign language. So back when Enki was with Polite, Polite already claimed to have written either 90 plus book or close to 90 plus book, but it was not an issue for him. But now it's an issue, you see. And yesterday, I think, Enki was on Tahaka Bay's show. Now, I've shared the picture of another guy who claimed that Tahaka Bay, the same guy who did Kemetic people, who made that song called Hotepping, he had some DUIs on his criminal criminal record, his shit, rap shit, DUIs, assaulting, and apparently like there's about 10 assaults against women. So Tahakabe finally responded after a couple of days, and I was curious. The live stream is 3 hours long. I've listened for 40 minutes, and after 40 minutes, I have not heard him denying that he assaulted women. But he said, I never stole any car. I did some joyriding, but I did not steal any car. It's not me. So I find it interesting that you try to go at Ali Mohammed because apparently he's scamming. And after the dude became a Moor, he committed so many crimes allegedly. And after 40 minutes, he did not even say, I did not assault any woman. But that's a conscious community for you. And it reminds me Polite, who never said, I didn't do it. I did not assault that 14-year-old girl. He did many live streams, but he never said, I'm innocent. I didn't do it. It looks fishy to me. But who knows? Maybe he said that at the end of the 3-hour live stream, but I don't have the courage of listening to these guys for 3 hours. But this is just one example among so many others, because for those who don't know, brothers and sisters, we're well told about some Hebrew Israelites, one of them who have been convicted of for molesting a child. And apparently he was convicted twice. There's another one. I don't know if he's on the run. Apparently he's on the run. And he's accused of having molested, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 children. 5 or 6 children. But the funny thing is that the one who allegedly was convicted twice, he was invited on several platforms. On several conscious community platform.
You
Now, I'm in
know,
Europe. I know that. You mean to tell me they don't know that? But go ahead, sister.
oh, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you
No, no
off,
problem.
brother.
No, problem. No, go ahead, bro.
But I wanted to speak to this thing about the child abuse and this abuse of women, right? You have so many people so confused. They don't even understand that they're confused about the principles, right? because they're getting it from sick people. Because I've heard so many people say things like, well, this is not rape, or this is not abuse, because um she was in the proper stage. And we don't go by state, we don't go by ages, we go by stages. And I'm like, you are misinterpreting the principle here. You're applying this in a way that suits your sick mind. And because this sickness has not been addressed, right? You are perverting the purity of Kemet. You're perverting the purity of our history. So I don't understand excuse me, why they continue to accept this, because it does put our children, our women, sometimes even our men and boys in a position of being ready to be abused consistently all the time, because this person can sit there and say, oh, it means this, oh, it means that, oh, a grown man can marry a child, a grown man can marry a baby, a grown man can marry a little girl, a little boy. This is my protege, and I'm training them, and I have to imbue them with my spirit. Like, I've heard so many perverted things in the way that they try to go about abusing people. They're doing it wrong, for lack of a better word.
That's the European way, the Greco-Roman tradition. You know. Now, there's a term we often use to have a mentor. He's my mentor. But if we go back to ancient Rome, ancient Greek, probably more ancient Greek than Rome, but they practice this kind of thing in both those societies. So the mature guy, the adult, will teach some stuff to the young boy, but he will also have sex with a young boy. And that's not something that we used to do as a tradition, you see.
Hmm.
And for the people who talk about, oh, she's in the right stage, some people do claim that once a female has her period, then she's more or less a woman because she can conceive and stuff like that. Now, even if they want to go with that logic, we have to ask, was the woman willing for the sexual act? If she wasn't willing for the sexual act, then it is sexual assault, then it is rape. There shouldn't be any discussion. Now, indeed, we have seen some Hebrew Israelites, not all of them, but a particular group. Well, people can go on YouTube and type in GMS, the three letters GMS, and then type rape. GMS space rape. I'm sure that you will find some of these videos because in the Bible there is a passage about that says something to the effect that if a man force himself on a woman, then he will have to marry her. You see, and
Hmm.
we have some remnant of that in the story. Now I forgot the lady's name, but there's a woman who was raped by a guy, and then the guy said, "Oh, I'm sorry about what I've done. I want to be with her. I want to marry her." So the family of the woman said, "Okay, if you want to marry her, you have to be like us and circumcised." So they all got the guy and his tribe, his people. They all circumcised themselves. And when you are circumcised, you are not in a good physical condition. You see. And while they were recovering, probably at night, but I'm paraphrasing the biblical passage,
Hmm.
the brothers of the sister who was raped,
Came and killed him.
after yes, exactly, they went and killed them. You see,
I know this
and
story very well.
you see, and I think at the end the father asked, "Why did you do that?" Or somebody asked him, "Why did you do that?" But I think it was the father, and the brother said they shouldn't have done that to our sister. So
Mm.
the I'm not trying to say that it was wrong that they killed all of them, even though some innocents were killed because it was the action of one man. But we have the conversation. The lady was raped, and the guy said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I want to marry her." Which shows that this is their way. You see, But
Mhm.
somebody might come up with that passage, and see if somebody wants to challenge me and say, "Oh no, what you're talking about is not in the Bible." I can really look for it. You see?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, there are several instances of this act and people trying to make compensation for it. But in some instances, they look at it as the forced act versus an act with someone that's not of age or not of that tribe. Like there are a lot of different ways that they try to quote unquote interpret this, right? But I'm looking at it in our modern language, and I can only say that any unwanted act of sex is rape. And when they talk about following the stages of womanhood, that challenges me because, you know, we have all of these different things that are in our food because we're not eating a pure diet that also alter the different stages as we experience them here. So when they say those things and then they tell a little girl that has her cycle, "Oh, you're a woman now." That I think that's really problematic. We need to do more balance, like you said, to find out, is this person who has gone through this biological process mentally and emotionally ready for this next stage that we're trying to force them into versus a situation where, you know, they actually are prepared to be a mother and a wife and to engage on that level with someone versus looking at just the biological processes. Because if you're still playing with Barbie dolls, right, and you still think that Santa Claus is real, you might not be ready to be a mom.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And in Yemen, it is very often time reported that an 8-year-old girl, 9-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl has passed away following the consummation of her marriage because, according to the Hadith Sahih Bukhari and probably Sahih Muslim as well, but according to the Sunnah, Prophet Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and he consummated the marriage with her when she was 9 years old. That's the reason why in Yemen, many adult, mature men marry very young girls because for them it is justified. So in Yemen, they really do that so often. And I invite anybody to just go on any search engine and type Yemen child bribe died, 8-year-old, 9-year-old died, and you will see this. It's been reported many, many, many times, you see. So I heard some people say, well, some women have their period before they are 12 years old and so on. Okay, there's exceptions to every rule. I've seen a guy who had 6 fingers on each hand. I've seen that. He had a oh, my bad. He had one there as well. You see, on each hand there. You see, so just because he had that, I don't know how to call it, but this condition, I'm not going to claim that this is the norm. This is an exception. So indeed, biologically, a woman who has period is supposedly capable of bearing a child, but indeed, is she psychologically, mentally fit to be a mother? I really doubt that. And we have those Hebrew Israelites who said publicly, yeah, we can rape women and all that, or we can get some young woman. I remember that guy from GMS said, in the new kingdom, we're going to get them young. That's what he said. They're trying to justify a book that they believe in. So they are making rationale for that. But can you imagine how many Hebrews will like think the same way, but just don't say it publicly? Don't say it out loud like this. And when it comes to those rapists and pedophiles who are being defended, I'm really sad because I'm not going to say that there's a culture of rape, but it happens more often than we would have thought. You see, and in gangs, it happens very often when the woman or are quote unquote initiated. Many times, you have to sleep with several men, either one after the other or several at the same time. You see, so you know the saying, the dog that barks is the dog that got hit. When I see people defending rapists and pedophiles, I'm thinking there might be something wrong with that brother. There might be something wrong with them. Why are they so adamant at defending a rapist? Where are our limits? When do we say that's enough, that's too much, that's bad? Because some people, they feel like being pro-black or conscious of pan-African is to defend a black person no matter what. And I was having a discussion with this guy, a Nation of Islam supporter. He said on tape, it's in French, but it's on tape, it's on my account. He said, a black man, whether he's a rapist or a pedophile, I consider him a member of my family. That's what he said.
Wow.
And he's a father. He has a daughter.
Wow.
He said it.
I I I don't understand. I can't rationalize that. Um and let me say it this way. You might be able to see them as a member of your family, I guess, but do you then embrace them and their abhorrent behavior? Do you then not correct them or take out the spot of from among you? Like I don't understand why when it comes to this aspect of belief and living, there's so much controversy and problem and desire to yield to your lower and low vibrational understanding of what life is and how we are supposed to pass on knowledge and information. Because if you violently assault someone, because for a child that is a very violent act, and I have seen women that have gone through that trauma and they then try to justify it, but that's because their mind is fractured. And I'm not saying it like, they're totally insane or anything like that, but every trauma causes you to fracture in a new way. And when you experience that type of trauma, you begin to create a reality where the trauma is not so bad, it's not so painful.
It's some sort of defense mechanism, really. Uh, or if some people differ, it's a reaction. And the reaction can be good or bad. You see, I'm an interpreter, so I translate. And I've heard people explaining, males explaining that after they got raped, they turned homosexual, and they were not before they got raped. So sometimes when people go to through trauma, they can be a physical reaction or a mental reaction. Like I'm sure some of you brothers and sisters have heard about some people who um, had something that happened to them, like an accident, something that had them in a state of shock, and they became numb. They were not able to speak anymore, or their speech were greatly altered. You see, but I mean, at this point, really, I understand what you're saying. Some people might argue that indeed what he was trying to say is that he still consider him a member of his family, even though he did that. It doesn't mean that he embraces him and stuff like that. But when you make a statement like that publicly,
Mhm.
it's the same people. If you tell him that brother, that black man, he's a Zionist, he will never say that's I consider him a member of my family.
I agree.
You see,
I
the
agree. I
black
agree.
Muslims have a common enemy with their fellow Muslims, even though it's Orthodox Islam, and Zionism is the number one enemy that they have. You see, so it's just bias. It's just bias, and it's just ridiculous. But I mean, I'm really, I'm really thinking that at some point in the future, if we get to the point where we're really organized as an organization, which doesn't really happen much now. Back then, it used to. Back then, the condition was different, and it's true, but the condition is still bad. But I'm thinking that maybe I will require to view the criminal record of the people who want to associate with me. You
I
know,
agree. Yeah.
not because I want to investigate their lives, but I want to know if someone has raped women or children. It's important for me to know, and I
You
don't want to be
know,
with people who defend. Yes, go ahead, sister.
oh, I was going to interject there. Many organizations, right, that we have to deal with, whether it's the Girl Guides or the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts or our jobs, they require you to submit for examination a report, a criminal record. They do a criminal background check. And if you have certain crimes in your file, you cannot be the leader, the head, alone with children in this organization. Why can't we have those same standards? Why are we trying to accommodate? There's an organization here that registers volunteers. Okay, it's called Verified Volunteer or something along those lines, right? And it's like a $5 fee to check a person out to see if they have these crimes. And if a person comes back with a bad record, right, they cannot be a verified volunteer. So that means when they go to these different organizations, even to volunteer,
Hmm.
right, they are not allowed to participate in certain ways because they have these crimes on their file.
And yes, why shouldn't we have standards? Some people like to say only God can judge me. So what? They can do just anything and everything they want. And you see, you mentioned this background checks, and it's true. So many jobs. There are so many jobs you cannot do if you have uh, some offenses that you have committed in the past. But there's a sad reality because every now and then I'm listening to people who are outside of the conscious mindset, not to say conscious community, because now it doesn't mean anything now. I mean, everybody's banging on the conscious community. At some point, they used to bang on Kemet because there was this Abrahamic alliance. You see, they are still part of a family, the Abrahamic family, for which they cannot show any records when it comes to their patriarchs, but that's another story. But there's a sad reality that people, the outsiders, mention. Amongst the conscious community, you have many people who have a very long criminal history, and many of them became conscious in jail or right when they came out of jail, but many is when they were in jail. So if they were not caught, if they were not arrested, they will still be engaging in their criminal activity. You see, so your past is your past, but the problem is that we have people who are still stealing money, still scamming, still raping, and they are being defended and protected, and that's unacceptable. I mean, what if it was to happen to you or to your family member or friend, loved one? You know, even those guys now who are talking about that fake scholar in France, it is because they were scammed that they are talking about it. They're not going to have anybody believing that they never heard anything. They knew something. They knew something. They had to know something because we all know about this guy. But anyway,
Mm.
it's all good.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to hold you much longer. I appreciate you coming on today to talk about these things. But they did know. And there is redemption. But like you said, after they were awakened and they became conscious, when they still go about doing these horrible things, right? then we have to root that out. We can't say we don't want to look bad in front of others. We look weak in front of others when we accept these people into our fold, because it weakens all of us, because if they don't have a moral standard to stand on, and they're not high and exceptional in their behavior and exemplary in their behavior, then it gives everyone under them an excuse to not live up to the standard. I grew up as a Christian, okay, fair enough, but the principle was oil flows from the head. So that means whatever is inside your leader will pour down in some way, form, or fashion, and it will cover and coat and get on the people and affect their behavior. And so if you don't have a standard at the top for the best to be at the top, then everyone else under that is weakened by that.
Yes, indeed. And you see, it makes me think about Kwanzaa because that's another example of someone who they that Moorish guy who was accused of having such a long criminal history, after he became a Moor, he threw that typical Malcolm X analogy. He showed
Mm,
the picture of Malcolm X when he was known as Detroit Red. And Pan Africans, they love to do that. So called pro black people and conscious people, they love to do that. But Malcolm was engaging in crime, criminal activities, and so on before he got to the knowledge of self. You see, but we have those people who are engaging in stealing, scamming, raping, and all kind of criminal activity after they got the knowledge of self in their particular path. You see, so Karenga, Ron Karenga, Molana Karenga, who created Kwanzaa by plagiarizing the Jewish holiday Hanukkah, he tortured those black women, or he ordered those black women to be tortured while he was the leader of the US organization. So it's not
mm,
before he was conscious. And that's the reason why he went to jail. He went to jail for torturing two black women.
mm.
Maybe there was rape. Dale Jones stated that some objects were inserted in their vagina. This is supposed to be classified as rape. But people are still honoring this guy and still celebrating Kwanzaa, which is nothing but a fraud. But then again, sometimes some people would like to say, well, we have our holiday. You guys are not African Americans and you want to criticize our culture. So I guess I'm not going to say much.
I am an African American, and I don't need, if I don't have a more comedic perspective on things, I don't need someone to tell me to honor all the members of my family and pay reverence and live a life of gratitude and exchange and compassion and love towards my people. You don't have to tell me when to do that. I live that every day, you know? And that's because I don't know appropriate quote unquote comedic ancient holidays, but I give honor and reverence to my family and the people that I care about and people in my world every day. That's a way of being. You don't have to set aside a day for something along those lines, or take someone else's day to feel more spirited or participatory in their holidays and rituals. We have our own.
And indeed, in Kemet, many stelas dedicated to, well, oftentimes it's to someone who has passed away, but sometimes you can have the king rewarding one of his subject, but many times you have family members erecting a stela for their loved one who has passed away. You see, and but in due time we get it. We'll get into that. But there's I'm trying to be diplomatic, but
There's work to be done.
yes. Thank you. You saved me for saying something that might have got me into trouble.
See, even internationally, I know my tribe.
Yeah.
There's yet work to be done. I appreciate the conversation. I don't know what else you have to do, but I'm going to allow you to proceed on with your program and your presentation. Thank you so much for getting on this morning. I appreciate the discussion, and I'll see you this afternoon.
All right. See you soon, sister.
See you soon.
Okay. And I think I will continue live streaming from my mobile phone because I don't have much battery left, but I can continue a little bit with my laptop. Now, greetings to you, Jerry. Greetings to you, Piccolo. Piccolo, is hard to follow you sometimes. You sound like you're into metaphysics, which is a bit outside of my realm, but to each his own. Greetings to you, Afro-Asiatic. You wrote, we can walk and chew gum. And I know it's just a saying, but do you know that Elijah Muhammad said that we should not chew gum? Just like he said that we should not be whistling. Well, at least he did not want the NOI members to chew gum and to whistle. Did you know that? Now, feel free, brothers and sisters, if you would like to call in. Really, I would love to hear from you. So, you know, you can talk about anything, or you can talk about the language of ancient Egypt, the language of Kemet. Do some of you want to learn it? Do some of you want to learn the Medunetcher, the hieroglyphic? Have some of you heard that it has not been deciphered? They don't say that for the Arabic language, which didn't have the vowels when it was first written. It only had consonants, just like the Medunetcher. But nobody says the Medunetcher has not been that nobody says that the Arabic has not been deciphered. Christopher, brother Chris, I'm glad to see you. I'm going to put you on in about 3 seconds. Hotep, brother, it's been a long time.
Hotep, Hotep, how are you?
I'm doing great, brother. How about you?
Ah, man, just trying to keep the balance, man. Weigh the scales correctly, man. Living a righteous life, loving my brothers and hating my enemies, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
been it's been chaos lately. Revelations upon revelations.
Yeah, one of the things that when you're speaking about the language and you start speaking about the history of African civilization and culture, we have to understand now that we have agents or we have people who are miseducated, which is just agent is just another way of saying people that are miseducated in our ranks. And some people want to push the misinformation or they want to push their own pseudo religious ideologies into African society or African civilization. And we have to be careful for that, and we have to be careful of that, and we have to be ready to disarm that when we hear it. And if you are not properly educated, if you are not really ready to have those discussions, then you should not be arguing with certain individuals when it comes to Medu Neter, when it comes to Ethiopia, Nubia, Kush, or any other African civilization, because they can paralyze you with a technique called gish galloping where they spread their arguments all around. So you have to be very careful of that. So I don't want to go on too long. I want to sit back and build with you for the little bit of time that I got. But we have to be very careful of certain agents that come around with this Asiatic nonsense, which is nothing but the Hermetic hypothesis. And I don't care if you retell it through by saying, oh, all these people were black. It's still the Hermetic hypothesis. All right. And to say that the Medu Neter was never deciphered is a lie. And I just want to state that because Africans today, there are still Africans on the continent today that can read that and look at those symbols and tell you what they mean and keep it moving. White Eurocentric scholars say that it's never been deciphered, and here it is that we are picking up those ideologies and we are bringing it back into our community. People like Chief X, and so on and so on. So, with that being said, Hotep, I want to let you continue building. Um, let's keep it. Let's make it happen, bro.
Yes, brother. Brother Francis, I'm going to put you on in a short while, but well, I've seen Chief X with a video title saying that Kemet was not black, and it's amusing to
Yeah,
me because we have so many artifacts, and not to toot my own horn, but first one of the brother who take the classes informed me that one of my video is floating around on TikTok. Then just yesterday, another brother who this time is not in America but in another country in Europe, he also called me in to tell me that he saw my video on TikTok, and that video they were both talking about is the one from the Louvre Museum where we can see Amenhotep III. So anybody is free to go on YouTube and type in Ma'at forever and then Amenhotep III, and you will see this one of the most famous, I mean, maybe not one of the most famous, but one of the most powerful king, and that's Akhenaten's grandfather. I'm sorry, my mistake. That's Akhenaten's father. That's King Tut, Tutankhamun's grandfather. You see, so one of the most powerful
don't do it,
king.
Mike. Don't do it.
You see, 18th dynasty, one of the most prosperous dynasty. We can see his phenotype, and it's countless of other
Catch
artifacts
your ass.
that you. I'm just going to mute Brother Chris because he's having a conversation, and um, on my channel, if you subscribe, my forever, you will see some more artifacts coming. I have a lot of artifacts from Italy, and I'm definitely planning on going to other countries to those museums and show you more artifacts. But if you scroll through, you will see many, and we can clearly see their phenotype is Black African. And the other thing I wanted to say is that Chris at one point mentioned white Eurocentric, saying that the Medunetta has not been ciphered, but this is not something that I've heard of. The only people that I heard saying that the Medunetta has not been ciphered is Black people,
No,
and
they got
that's
it from white Eurocentric. No, they got it from white Eurocentrists that say it
okay.
hasn't been. Yeah, they get it from them over here. I have the scholar's name, and
Mm,
I haven't. Yeah, I have his name. I have it on the tip of my tongue. But I want to say something real quick about Chief X's video. The minute I saw
mhm.
the video, I was very appalled, right? And I challenged him on it. I was the first one. I put it in his video. I'll challenge you. I said challenge accepted because he said Team Osiris. So I gave him a call through another gentleman that I know, who I'm not too crazy about with some of his antics, but I called him and I waited very patiently to speak with him. And I said, I'd like to challenge you on your stance that these people weren't Africans. And he said, what in my video did you disagree with? I said, I'm not going to go into your video about what I disagreed with. I'm going to go into the history of Africa, and I'm going to start in Tasseti and take you out from there. You said they weren't black, they weren't African. I'm going to start there. He says, no, you got to tell me what in my video. I said, no, I'm not arguing with your sources. That's a misdirection. That's so you can move the goalposts as you seem fit in this argument. I'm going to start in Tasseti. Everybody knows Tasseti is the Sudan, is Nubia. It starts right there. It's game over from there from the first 12 dynasties. So as a matter of fact, it's just so easy and he would not accept it. So really what he really wanted to do, as I found out, was challenge Ankh, because that conscious community, that HOK nonsense, they make it look like that they're the face of the conscious community, or the Afrocentric way of thinking. They make it look like that they are the standard when honestly they're not. They're not the standard at all. A lot of the things that they teach on there are incorrect. So that's what I wanted to say. He was challenged properly.
I'm sorry, just my baby mother, Pan African baby mother. making up excuses so she doesn't, you know, doesn't really want to let me have my son for the weekend. But she's been doing that for so long, you know. Um,
Peace, brother Shaka. Sorry to hear that, bro. Peace.
yes, Hotel, my brother. Now,
Hotep, Hotep,
I
Anthony Harris.
just want to tell Payo Pius that I am currently living in France. You just asking where are you from? But I mean, Chief X, I feel like he wants the attention, and you know, but he said a lot of crazy stuff. But it is what it is. But go ahead, brother Alfred Zadig, please say what's on your mind.
Yeah, me and brother Anthony Harris, Chris Harris, we got a debate coming up along similar lines. But I don't agree with Chief X at all that they were any European looking type of people who
No, Afro-Asiatic. I'm
came
going to
into
have to.
Kemet.
No, Afro-Asiatic. I'm going to have to cancel that debate, brother.
Why is?
Because
Oh
I,
yeah,
because
you're
I,
talking about because of the work schedule, right?
not only because of the work schedule, but I don't think you're being really scholastically honest right now. And I can't debate Gish galloping. I can't do that. That's not fair to me, and I made that clear to you. Until you define your
You
premise,
didn't say that.
I'm saying that to you
You didn't
now.
say that the other day on the
No,
line.
I said it. I'm saying it to you now. I'm telling you now. And I
That's
don't want. I
cool,
was going to
brother.
call you. I was going to call you today. And it's. I understand that. I'm not trying to insult you or anything like that. I don't. I definitely don't. Because I consider you a brother. I consider you a friend in scholarship. But I think you
Yeah,
need to be a little bit more clear in your premise and in your stance, so I can understand what it is that I'm arguing. And until I can see a little bit more maturity in your scholarship, I would. Me and you could possibly set up another debate, but just trying to plaster everything Asiatic, Afro-Asiatic, just because you see an E marker in somebody, it's just not fair to a debate to do that. You know what I'm
well,
saying?
brother,
Because it's just not fair. It
brother. I
really isn't.
mean, that's your choice if you want to back out. You know what I mean? I understand that.
No, it's
It's
not.
let
It's not.
long as
It's if that's what you want to call it, that's
it's
fine.
on the public record that I'm not the one who backed out. It's yourself who backed out because you and I have had multiple conversations here with the good brother Shaka over many different topics, diverse topics, and it was never a one-sided discussion, or
Well,
it
I think
never.
that's the part of. I think honestly, hold on, beloved. I think that's part of the problem there. I think it's that a lot of you guys are looking for your moment against Chris Harris instead of
Brother,
being
I don't
honest.
idolize you in any
It
form
has
or
nothing to do
fashion,
with idolatry.
but you because you're talking about like I'm looking for a moment with you. That's not it, brother. If you don't want to debate, I can respect that, but
Thank
long as
you.
it's on the public record that
That's fine.
you backed away from it,
That's
I'm
fine.
cool. I'm cool with that.
It's
That's
in that's fine. No matter how you phrase it,
your
it's just that
position.
I'm no longer interested because after reading the sources that you went over that you gave me, none of those sources state anything that you're saying. Not Drusilla Dungy Houston. You entering Zechariah Stitchin into an argument makes absolutely no sense
We
when
could
he's a theop. Is it okay if I finish? Okay, thank you. You entering Zechariah Stitchin's work to try to prove when he's not an archaeologist nor a historian, and you parsing together information to try to prove a
what
point.
piece of Zachariah Sitchin's work did I enter?
The work that you gave me last time we were on the phone, me and Melvin Jefferson, we took down everything that you said.
That's
We
not
went over all those
Zachariah. That
sources.
wasn't Zachariah Sitchin.
Okay,
That
okay, the Afro Asiatic.
when you and
Wow.
Melvin and I were on the phone, we went over the population genetics of the taboo, which demonstrates that the
Has
taboo
nothing to
people
do. Have nothing to do with Egypt.
off the coast of Lake Chad are in fact Afro-Eurasian. They are black Asiatics. We went over that. That's what we went over. If you're choosing publicly to back out of the debate, then that is on you, brother. I can respect that. But long as the people know that I didn't back down, you back down. I'm fine.
It's not about once again. Like I said, this shows some
If
maturity
you're
here.
scared, say
It
you're
shows some
scared.
maturity. There you go. There's the maturity level right there. No, I think you're not being honest with your premise, and I don't think you're being
I
honest with
am
your
being
information.
honest.
Okay. Well, once again,
Solar,
Afro-Asiatic is a
so,
language
solar
family,
just
not a race of people.
well. Solar just announced it the other day. But it's fine though, brother. If you shook, you shook. I can respect that. I'll move on and I'll take on another debate with someone else. Somebody will replace you. Solar will put somebody else in your slot. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm not scared.
Can I ask you a question, Brother Afraziadi?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're aware of Elijah Muhammad
Hmm.
saying the Muhammad that was here 1400 years ago was a white man.
Hmm. Yes.
So even your own leader and teacher said that those people were white.
Yeah. Well, he spoke in language that was at times his language was very direct, and at times his language was allegorical. Because when we look at Kenda culture, we can Kenda culture is Black Arab culture. That's about maybe 13th, 7th, 8th century AD. That's Kenda culture. When we look at multiple cultures that are in, when we look at the culture of the Hijaz, we see that it is a Black Arab culture. When we look at South Arabian culture, we see that it is Black Arab culture. So we can demonstrate the existence of Black populations within the Arabian Peninsula throughout, even till now, we can find pockets of Black African culture people in the Arabian Peninsula, though the Aryanized population has taken over the majority of the peninsula. So that's fine. That really doesn't present a problem for myself, scholastically.
Brother Shabaka, do you understand what I'm saying now? You understand what I'm saying now? Did you just hear all that? He never
Yeah,
directly addressed what you just asked him. He
yeah.
just
Because
gave a gish gallop.
because
He just gave a
academics
gish gallop.
doesn't necessarily have so much to do with doctrine. Brother Shaka introduced something from doctrine. I'm speaking from archaeology and science and genetics. So it's fine with me, brother. You shook, Chris Harris. You thought about it. You looked at the source that I put up the other day with that map, and you realize that all of those populations on that map converge on the Nile Valley, and they come out of where? They come out of the Levant, and they come out of the Arabian Peninsula. That's just one source. It
Hold
was going
on.
to be a
No, that's
tough
not true.
debate,
Nothing that
and you don't
no, it's
you
not.
don't want
It's
to
not that
be
tough.
you don't want to
Sir, let
be
me
upset by a rookie.
you see
And
how you're
I
bragging on
respect
your
that.
hold on. You see how
I
you're bragging
respect
on
it
yourself? You see how you're
because you
bragging on
don't
yourself, and I'm
you
talking
don't
specifically on
intimidate me
scholarship.
as an
One more
academic, brother.
time.
You don't
Okay,
intimidate
one
me
more time. See how
at
you're
all.
attacking me, and I'm only
I'm
addressing
not attacking you.
scholarship. Listen to what
You
I'm
the
trying
one
to
back
say.
down.
Okay, see what you're doing? Once again, this is what he's teaching now. He says
You
that
backing
the
out.
Asiatics were the ones who founded Kemet, when we know for a fact that it was already there before Narmer unified it. So now he's saying, listen to
So
what he's saying.
who were
One more
those
time, can I,
pre-dynastics?
Shabaka, brother Shabaka, is it okay if, brother Shaka, is it okay if I talk for a minute without being interrupted? Because I want everybody to hear his premise for a
Who were
minute.
those pre-dynastics? Who are the pre-dynastics, Chris?
Okay, is it all right if I talk for a minute, brother Shaka, without being interrupted? Is there a way you can mute the gentleman so I can
Oh
continue to
man, you
talk?
want to mute me?
Brother Chris. Really, that conversation with Brother Afraziadi, we've had it so many times,
Yeah,
and and with all due respect, he's not producing evidence or records for all that. And
right.
and
It's an argument
Elijah
from
Muhammad,
ignorance.
Elijah Muhammad said, I mean, it's on one of the book, probably the Theology of Time, and the Theology of Time is basically a transcript of a speech that Elijah Muhammad made. So we have the audio, we have the audio record of Elijah Muhammad saying that the Prophet was here 1400, the Muhammad that was here 1400 years ago, or 1300 years ago, I can't remember exactly, was a white man. He said it, you see. But now, Brother Asiatic, you're trying to
Good morning.
invalidate the statement of your teacher, which is very strange.
I'm not invalidating anything.
So what?
I got his writings.
So
I
was he?
got a writing that he has now called Black Power. When he presents the question, who were the black Arabs? Who were the black Egyptians? Where did they come from? He presents that question in that order. Now, that's because of the way he spoke. But what he's getting at is that all of these populations were in fact black. I can pull the text. I have his text.
But he just said that
I have
Muhammad just happened
I
to be
have
white.
his writings. So I have access to many of his writings, much of some of his writings that many of you may not have because I'm a member and a believer in his teachings. So I do collect his writings. So I can cite his writings to demonstrate my position. And besides
Okay.
the fact, modern science demonstrates that I'm correct. That's what Chris Harris is afraid of. He's afraid of the genetic
All
information.
right. Okay. Okay. Well. For
Sure.
the record, Elijah Muhammad talked about how Moses was trying to civilize white people, but he couldn't, and he was really sad about this. You see. So even before Muhammad, the people in this area of Syria, Palestine, and all that, the Middle East, the Levant, people can call it whatever they want. Elijah Muhammad, according to his teaching, those people are white people. But
No,
let me just
no, that's not true.
okay. Well,
He said he civilized them in the hills and cave sides of Europe. He said that it's a mountain of Musa. It's a mountain of Moses in the area of southeastern Europe. There is an actual mountain of Moses. We should ask ourselves, how in the heck did it get there?
so you're saying that Elijah Muhammad
Hold on,
stated
geological
you,
formation, rock formation, and somebody named it that. Nothing
Hmm.
more. What do you mean? How did it get there?
Oh, okay, yeah, Chris.
Oh, and don't
so
hold
you
on, brother Shaka, real quick. I'll
go ahead.
debate
Yeah.
you. I'll debate you. You know what? And just
Yeah, but stop
since you
acting
hold on,
scared, bro.
hold real quick. And since you have such a big mouth, brother Shaka, I want you to attend the after show. Afro Asiatic. I'm going to embarrass you, and that's what I wanted to get away from. I didn't want to get in my ego,
You
but
can't
now I'm
do it.
going to
You
destroy you. I don't
can't.
even think you know what you're
You
talking about.
can't do it.
Peace, brother Shaka. I'm gonna sit back, brother
So
Shaka, and do some
Every
yes,
paperwork
time
here.
you
Rock
I
speak
out.
just
with
want to ask
me, I
where would that
school you and
yes
whoever you
okay
bring.
yeah where would that debate take place?
SVDL, Solar
It's
Vision
gonna be on. It's
Debate
gonna be
League.
on Solar Vision Debate League.
Yes,
So and
yes.
when is it going to be?
It's gonna be on the 26th. It's gonna be on the 26th of this month.
Okay, okay. Well, make sure to let me know so I can look into that. Before it happens.
This is gonna be. And you ever heard? If you've ever heard me debate, and you hear me say something like this is going to be easy. It's going to be easy. I try to be a brother and try to say, hey man, I don't think it's cool, but he just wants to debate. He wants his
I'm not
moment. I'm
asking
gonna give
you
you
for
your moment in
no.
the sun because you're
I
going to
don't
look
need.
silly.
It's
Trust
not a
me.
moment in the sun, brother. You not. I mean,
Your range,
you my son,
your
no doubt.
logic, your
You my son,
logic
no
is
doubt.
flawed. It's
I don't.
flawed.
I don't knock you for that, but the
Got you.
scholarship got to be pushed forward, brother.
Right,
You know what
right,
I mean?
right.
It got to
Okay.
be pushed
Okay,
forward.
okay. Well, brothers, I will have to go back to work. It was good to hear from you. And on the
Hey,
26th, then we will be able to hear your debate. All right. So thank you for calling, brothers.
bless up, Shaka.
All right. Now, just before I finish, I want to reply to Steve Money, who wrote, does it matter if Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a white man? Yes, it does matter because it did matter to his companions. That is called the Sunnah. And the Sunnah is indeed part of the Sunnah is the Hadith. And that in the Hadith, we have physical description of Prophet Muhammad, and he was described as white, white face, white cheek, white arm, white leg, white stomach. So, yes, in Islam, in the Sunnah, according to the Imams, it does matter if he was white or black. Okay, and now, as far as I'm concerned, he was white because that's how it was described as, according to the Islamic tradition. But we have some black people who try to claim that he was black. You see, so I'm only quoting the Islamic source. You see, so if his color doesn't matter, it will mean that the hadith do not matter, and it does matter. Besides, in the hadith, in the sunnah, we have descriptions of other people, and they are labeled as black or Habashi, Abyssinians, and so on. So we are told about their geographical location and also their physical appearance, you see. So I hope that I answered your question, and I think I did. So, brothers and sisters, thank you very much for being there. Stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to hit that like button and click on that notification bell. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Is always Ma'at Forever, just like it says here. Watch the video, Kemet and Ma'at, just Kemet and Ma'at, and also watch the video entitled Deception of Asiatic Black Men. You will discover that the fathers of the Asiatic black men are two white individuals who are Masons. So stay safe, stay healthy, and if I'm allowed to by the nature, I will definitely hire back at you. Hotel.